Hello everyone, welcome back to another video where today I'm going to do a little bit of a brief one today because we've had an actual official leak, as in Disney Plus themselves have once again leaked a little preview of the next episode of Doctor Who. For those of you who aren't aware, when you're on Disney Plus and they're showing like the next episode, sometimes for the last few episodes of Doctor Who they've been showing like the episode ahead's preview image. For whatever reason, obviously, this is significant because this is actually our first, look of Reality War outside of, promotional stills that they want us to see. And it's very interesting because it looks like an ending scene which could, I'm not saying it does, but it could mean that Gatwa doesn't regenerate. And we're going to talk about why, but we're going to look at this image and I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. But before we do me a teeny tiny little favour and click that subscribe button. It'd be very much appreciated. We are trying to get to 30,000 subscribers and we're on 27,750 odd, so any support would be greatly appreciated. We're getting closer and closer and closer. If you enjoy regular Doctor Who content, feel free to subscribe and let's dive right in. So as far as I could see, apparently this was first posted around the 26th of May. So Disney Plus is known for showing a promo image for the next episode, but the episode after. I recently rewatched episode 6 and this image, probably from Reality War, has popped up. Hello. And then I first saw this, credit to Post Monument, who tweeted this out today. So this was originally posted 2 days ago, and that's going to be relevant for what we're about to talk about, because a quote has been given by industry leaker Daniel RPK saying, quote, "The original ending of Doctor Who Season 2 before the reshoots was the Doctor, Ruby, Belinda, etc. all having a big party. Think Amy and Rory's wedding. Everyone's dancing, the Blinks is a DJ. Susan is seen watching them all from afar, which would have been the cliffhanger leading into Season 3. And here we can see, through Disney's metadata, a better look at this image. And that does seem to depict what he's describing, which is interesting because he said that this was the scene that the series was going to end on pre the reshoots, which, if he's correct, would indicate that perhaps there is not going to be a Ncuti Gatwa regeneration scene. Does that mean that he's staying? Not necessarily, but it kind of points towards a potentially more open-ended ending for Season 2. And obviously it says, I think you can kind of see there, sort of says happy birthday in the background, and apparently the rumour is that it would be the Doctor's birthday at the end of the series, so that's what this is all about potentially. Which, yeah, very interesting stuff. I mean, the only thing I'll say about this is that Daniel Richmond, or Daniel RPK, has gotten a few things wrong, and it's notable with this tweet in particular that it went out today at 2:30 p.m. when the image itself was released via Disney 2 days prior. And the reason that's relevant, of course, is that he could have seen that image and is essentially using that as the basis to claim insider knowledge on the ending of Season 2. It's also worth noting that this is the same guy who said that a limited 8th Doctor series was planned, sets had been built, they were doing costume fittings, then it got cancelled after Season 1 didn't do well, and even modelers at Bad Wolf Studios were laughing at how ridiculous this was, saying, yeah, it's true, we built them all at 1/100th scale by mistake, and the only way we could have done the series was Underworld with CSO. So yeah, even they were making fun of this and clowning on this, so I don't really know whether I trust Daniel RPK for those reasons. However, nonetheless, it is still our first look at a new scene in Reality War, and potentially, the series being left more open-ended. This doesn't seem like a scenario in which the Doctor and Belinda will leave on bad terms, nor does it necessarily seem like he's leaving her life forever, unless it's the last night that they spend together. It's interesting. This is potentially one of the last scenes of the episode, because I doubt they'd be partying when the Rani and Omega were still at large. But yeah, it's just interesting, because if there were to be a regeneration, I doubt that there would be a party involved in that. Hey, happy birthday, Doctor, now time to die. It doesn't really align. So I can still potentially believe that Season 2 will be left relatively open-ended, with Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor, Belinda as the current companion, and then depending on what happens, we go from there. Because, like, Ncuti looks very happy in this scene as well. He doesn't look like he's about to go off and regenerate. Like, compare this to, obviously, you know, the 10th Doctor's farewell in End of Time, where he's kind of somberly doing a tour of all of his companions. It doesn't really give that same vibe, so it could be very possible that the reshoots weren't actually a regeneration reshoot at all. Obviously, I guess this does kind of spoil that Belinda does survive, and I assume, you know, get her memories back at the end of this episode, but to be fair, I think we can all kind of expect that. Obviously, Daniel RPK did say that Ruby would be making an appearance in this scene, but obviously, as I said before, I'm not really sure how much I trust Daniel RPK, at least when it comes to Doctor Who stuff. I know that he has a decent track record with other franchises, but from everything I've seen with his Doctor Who scoops, they're a little bit off from the stuff that I understand. So, very interesting stuff. I mean, I don't know what it is about Disney and just releasing these images ahead of time. Like, I don't know how hard it is to, like, make sure that the corresponding episode preview image is put up with the episode that you are about to watch. I'm not sure why that's so difficult, but yeah, I guess it's given us our unintentional new look at potentially the ending of the Reality War, which is very, very interesting. I've seen some people also speculate that it could actually be Happy May Day here, and May Day is a thing that kind of gets reclaimed as like a positive thing and like a happy ending. Obviously, we can tell from the costumes that they're very much, you know, in the normal universe now, you know. So yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see as to how all this ends, but it's certainly not giving he's going to go off and die in a second. At least to me, but maybe I'm wrong. It would be incredibly funny if after all these months of speculation about a regeneration and Ncuti Gatwa leaving and the show being put on ice, there's just a relatively happy, nice, open-ended ending with Belinda and the Doctor still around, leaving the door open for a third season. Like, imagine if we're watching this in the cinema and then it just comes up, we get the trailer for the War Between Land and Sea, and it says Doctor Who will return 2027. Imagine if that's what we end up with. It would admittedly be pretty funny. I'm not saying that will happen, but it would probably be the funniest outcome to me, that we had all these months of going, oh yeah, the show's gonna go on ice, and Gatwa's regenerated, and all of these reshoots have happened, meaning that he's going, and then that just doesn't happen. That would be quite funny. Because as I said, this just doesn't give the vibe of a somber regeneration ending to me, unless it happens directly after this. But for the reasons I said, I feel like that would be a really weird tonal shift to have this celebratory ending for this episode and everyone being defeated and everyone having a good time, only for the Doctor to go and regenerate randomly at the end. Particularly for Russell, who's always made quite a big deal out of the Doctor's sacrifice and regeneration and stuff like that. It just feels weird to have like a really happy ending followed by a regeneration. It just doesn't track. So either Gatwa is leaving and there's just no regeneration as of yet, and maybe he'll come back to do a one-off special where he regenerates, kind of like what Sylvester McCoy did in the 90s, or he's just not leaving at all, and that decision genuinely just hasn't been decided, so they've left it open either way. Who knows at this point? But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed. I hope you appreciated this sort of shorter video. Obviously, I'll have a longer video probably coming either tomorrow or later today, depending on what goes on. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.